Welcome to the first Never Ending Realm news segment, guys. I'm here with my good friend and co-editor, Samuel Rivera.
Yes.
Yes, we're here at neverendingrealm.com. And so we're just going to dive into some of the gaming news we've had for the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
Samuel, is there something you want to lead off with?
I mean, everybody's been talking about the Halo Infinite reveal, and that's been the big news. I mean, and the big controversy whether the game looks good or whether it looks last gen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
what
true.
was your you go ahead first. What was your take on it? I mean, what did you think when you first watched it? Did you get to watch it
Well,
again? Did you?
I've watched it a few times now, and I have to say, after the trailer where they're on the ship, Chief and that guy who's giving up hope, such a good trailer, and then you see the character models in the gameplay, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is not the same. They did not use the actual game engine for that trailer, and just the guy's face, you could tell, was definitely lower res, worse lighting.
Yes, I do remember that trailer came out last year. I think on December or something like that, and it was pretty impressive. It was pretty impressive, wasn't it? It was like even Digital Foundry said that a lot of techniques were very impressive in it and stuff. And I think that set the bar like really high in terms of what people.
Yeah, definitely.
And let's be honest here. I mean, if we are gonna be real, I mean, this game has been in the making for the past 4 years. Because I mean, they probably start working on it after Halo 5. So it is an Xbox One game in theory. It's just being, it's a cross-generational game. So it is an Xbox One game that will run on Xbox Series X, and it will have some improvements, I guess, on Series X, like 4K, and I heard 120 frames per second. Is that what I heard? Is that right?
Possible, but you might have to turn off some of the lighting, which makes you wonder if it's worth it. It might be worth it in the multiplayer, which is supposedly going to be free to play.
Oh,
so
yeah. That's
a whole can of worms. I don't even know if we need to go into yet until we actually find out more specifics.
That's actually I mean, I think Microsoft did kind of didn't they started the rumors for that, or did they announce that afterwards after the whole fallout of the video? Like they were gonna have at least the multiplayer was gonna be free. It was gonna be for Game Pass.
And so my trolling on the Halo message boards came true. It's gonna be an MMORPG. I've been trolling people for months now, saying, "Oh, you didn't see the leaks, guys," and it turns out it's true.
I mean, let's be honest here. If it's an Xbox One game, it looks okay, because remember, it is open world, and it's going to have a day and night cycle and all this other stuff. And maybe they were going for that old school look. Think about it. People were complaining that Halo 5 was too different, that it was too linear, that you didn't get to play as Master Chief. So I guess they thought, let's go back in time and let's go back to a ring, because now it takes place on one of the Halo rings. And it looks like that might be the problem. It looks sort of like you remember that Halo looked back in 2001.
Yeah. I mean, Halo 1 did look like a good game at the time.
Oh, no. That's the one thing. Halo did push the boundaries of technology in the, with the first, which, it was also because the first Xbox was such a powerhouse. I mean, that was like a whole generation ahead of the PlayStation 2 in terms of what it could do, the original Xbox.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of brought good first-person shooting to consoles, and really pushed beyond what GoldenEye and then Perfect Dark could do on the N64. Yeah, it really showed that consoles could do shooter games, first-person shooters, better than PC. I think that's really what it showed.
And the multiplayer, it was just like the for split screen, it just ran so smoothly on Xbox as opposed to GoldenEye before on the N64, which ran like at 10 frames per second. Obviously, in 1997, nobody cared, but once you play Halo on the Xbox, it was just a whole different ballgame the first time you did. But I remember the texture work and everything, the skybox and everything was just Halo was a great looking game, and Halo 2 had a lot of bump mapping and a lot of different techniques. I don't know if you remember
Definitely.
that. It was a big step up from the first game. So Halo has been pushing tech. This was just, I don't know. It's maybe they need to optimize for the Xbox Series X. I do think that it's going to look better eventually. I mean, when it does come out, but I just think it's not the game that you wanted to show when you were, everybody. Microsoft has
Yeah.
been saying this is the most powerful console, and it is. If we go on GPU, if we go on CPU, the Xbox Series X is more powerful than the PlayStation 5. But this is not the game that, you know, that was supposed. It was the game that was supposed to show it, but it didn't show it because it is an Xbox One game. So it's not the game that people. I
Yeah.
think
I mean,
Forza
give it a few years, and they'll definitely. I guess the next Halo launch will really push the envelope for what the Series X can do.
Yeah, and Fable, I guess Fable is being made by the people who made Forza Horizon, and Forza Horizon looks amazing. And the Forza game, the actual Forza game that we saw had ray tracing on it, and it does look. It actually looks a little bit better than Gran Turismo. Was it? Is Gran Turismo 7 or something now? Is that what it called? Is that,
Something like that. Yeah.
I stopped following Gran Turismo a long time ago after I
Yeah.
started Forza.
Yeah. GTA 4, I think, is the last one I played. But let's continue on with the Microsoft news. So I noticed you wrote an article about Microsoft and Samsung. So what's that all about?
Yes, it's just part of what they're doing. If you see, even if you saw that presentation, what they're doing is they're trying to push forwards with the Game Pass subscription model that they have.
Yeah.
That's their big thing. The whole presentation was about that. Like every single game that you saw in that presentation is going to be free if you subscribe to Game Pass. So their strategy is that they're going to take this to Android, to every Android and Google powered device that is out there. So if you own an Android phone, you can stream. I mean, I guess some of the newer ones, you can stream. You can subscribe to Game Pass, and you can stream all of the at least 100 games on it, so you can play on your cell phone. And you can actually, there's some devices now that they sell that you can hook up a controller and just put the cell phone on top, and you can play on it. I think that's very interesting. That's what they're pushing for, is because remember, there's like 2 billion cell phones out there, Android cell phones out there. Even if a small percentage of those people subscribe to this thing, they're going to have over 100 million subscriptions.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to become the Netflix of video games. And what's your take on that? I think that's a good idea. I think they're looking forward towards the future, because eventually that's what's going to happen. Streaming is going to take over.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in the long run. Obviously, what gamers want right now, though, still is, expensive hardware. A lot of people still don't have internet, maybe not even necessarily fast enough, but also like a low enough latency. I know, like, you live in Puerto Rico, so there's always going to be additional, probably no matter what, there's always going to be at least 30 milliseconds more ping on top of that, just even with fiber optic, just because of the physical distance.
Yes, that's why the Google Stadia has been such a mess. I mean, it's not something that everybody can play. Even Puerto Rico, as you say, if I want it right now, I'm paying $50 a month. Can only get you 8 megabytes of speed. That's very low. So if you want to get 25 megabytes, which is the minimum requirement for 4K streaming, that's like $100, maybe more. So it's not. It's not something that is accessible right now, streaming for everybody in the world.
Yeah.
And that was actually a problem with the first Xbox. Remember, the Xbox One in 2013, when they had that whole thing where you had to be on the entire time and everything. So, that you had to have an internet connection. I think that was something that people complain about at the time. And it's not the same.
Yeah, I never thought it'd be a problem, and I actually ran into it the other day when my internet was out. I couldn't play any of the games I had purchased online. I thought there'd be like a grace period, of like 24 hours before you had to like recertify a license for it or something. But because they'd been on my Xbox for so long, and it said no.
The ones on Game Pass, or the ones
just ones I had actually purchased my account.
And we're down.
Yeah, and they were downloaded, and it said I had to be online to play.
That's strange though, because I don't think PlayStation Network works like that. Like if you download a game and you buy it, you can still play if you're not online because it is on the hard drive. I
Yeah.
didn't know because I do have an Xbox now. I didn't know that. That is a bummer though. That is a bummer.
Yeah, maybe it was just something weird going on or something like that. But yeah, I wasn't able to play when the internet was out.
No, it
Okay.
is. But think about it. But some countries in the world they don't have internet all the time. Like some people have to use the cell phones.
Yeah.
Um, it's not something that is going to take off immediately. But now that 5G is coming for cell phones and stuff like that, I think they do have a big market there, and I think they're going to do well. But yeah, gamers are disappointed. Console gamers won, they won the traditional battle between Xbox and Sony and Nintendo, and I don't think
Yeah.
Microsoft is looking for that right now. I think they're trying to go somewhere else, to another direction, even though they're they're here, still
Yeah,
here.
that makes me worried because they tried to go another direction last generation, and that didn't work out too well.
Yes, but that was kind of. I mean that I think streaming will eventually take over. Not now, maybe 10 years from now, maybe 20 years from now, but they are making sure that they are the ones who lead the way.
Yeah, and
So
they do invest a lot in that cloud-based stuff anyway for their other applications and other things they do in other departments.
yes,
Um,
I mean they are the only company. Like I don't think Sony or Nintendo they have the infrastructure to try to do something like this right now. So I think they're the ones who can do it, and they have the money and they have the personnel and like you say they have the infrastructure to do that now. So they're taking advantage of that.
Definitely. I guess another bit of interesting news was that Nintendo has actually apologized. This actually came out a few weeks ago, I think, over the
Yes.
Switch Joy-Cons, and they're facing a lawsuit, and that lawsuit's been going on for a little while. But Nintendo's CEO actually came out and apologized.
Yeah, that's actually one of the biggest news right now on our Facebook page is in our site that is getting a lot of responses. And I don't know if you're surprised, but I'm surprised that like 80 or 90% of the people that actually comment on the news, they have troubles with it. They have issues with the drifting. So it is something that is prevalent. It is something that obviously is not, you know, I actually think it might be a little more prevalent than the red ring of death because my Xbox worked for at least like 3 or 4 years before it died of that. And
Yeah,
my Switch, it was I think a year and a half into me playing it, and I don't play that much of it. Maybe I played about 400 hours of it. It started drifting, and it is something that happens to people. Even the Switch Lite, which just came out, some people right out of the box they had the issue with the drifting. So there's obviously a design flaw in there, and Nintendo is not acknowledging it. They apologize for the inconvenience, but they're not acknowledging that there is a flaw with it. And I guess you know why they're not acknowledging this.
well, because that would be ammunition for the court case, and they'd have to fix all of them. And
Yes,
as you noted, that they're basically still. I mean, if you count the shipping and everything and the replacement, I mean, they're losing money
they're gonna
every time they fix one of these Joy Cons
they're
or
gonna
replace
lose.
them.
Yes, if the court, I don't think this is gonna happen. It's because it's just such a tremendous blow. But if the court said you have a flaw here and you have to replace every single unit with a fixed Joy-Con, that's 60 million units of that's 60 million or 62 million right now of Nintendo Switches that are out there. That's over $5 billion that they're going to take a hit. That's
Let's say it just costs $50 to fix each one. And he said, how many million are there? 62 million. Jeez.
62, yes, and it keeps selling. I mean, it's selling. I think on a weekly basis about 300,000 units or so, or more than that, because it is selling very very rapidly. So
Yeah,
the long
that's if it costs $50 for each one to fix. I mean, that's $3 billion right there.
well, that's the problem. To make every Joy-Con, at least back in 2017, every Joy-Con was $90 to make. $90 to make. So
Yeah.
let's say that the price
Oh,
is now to $70 or so. We're still talking
yeah.
$5 billion easily. Um,
Yeah. Once you figure in the shipping and handling, the customer service, all that stuff. Yeah.
So this is why they're not going to acknowledge this, because if they do, that's just saying, "Oh, we screwed up. We have to replace every unit." It's going to be it's bad. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then maybe you and I, if you have the regular Switch, all you do is you mail in your Joy-Cons, and if you have an extra pair, you can play. But if you bought a Switch Lite, you have to send your entire device. So you're going to be left for what, weeks without playing the system because you have to ship it. It's just a big cluster. I don't want to say the word, but it's just a big mess. And
it's just it's a lose-lose for everybody.
And you know, it is surprising because some people have commented that Nintendo always made good hardware. Like, I mean, the N64 is like what, 25, 24 years old, and it still works fine. This is the first time that I ever bought a Nintendo system and it had issues like that. So it just, I don't understand how in the testing this did not come up and they did not fix it and they just let it go. But you know, that's what companies do. It's just a big mess, and you know, they're not doing the right thing by not admitting it. But I understand why they're not admitting that this is a flaw, a design flaw.
Yeah. Well, they need to eventually fix it, and it looks like the Switch Lite wasn't a fix. So
no, but that's the problem. If they need to fix the flaw, but if they do it, then they will admit that there was a flaw with the system. So maybe what they're gonna do is they're gonna, I don't know, maybe when the next Switch comes out or the Switch Pro or whatever, they're just gonna have a new design of Joy-Cons. Because right now the problem is mine is drifting, but I don't want to buy another set because it's like what, $80, and what if it happens again? So it's just bad. But the guy apologized. I take it for what it is with a grain of salt. Obviously he has to do it because he's in front of the company, so he has to do some public relations. But it is bad. It is bad. It is a bad look for the company, in my opinion.
Well, they're still selling out everywhere. So I mean, they're almost as expensive as ever if you can find one.
Parents don't know about this. Like most people who complain about this are just gamers that are on message boards, but parents usually don't really know. They just go and buy the system for the kids, and all they want to do is play Fortnite. You know, that's all they want to do. Or Animal Crossing, I guess, the new game that is selling out like crazy.
Yes.
But you know, it's gonna sell. It's gonna sell because it is, you know, now in the pandemic and everything, it's gonna keep selling all the way up to. I think they're gonna have a big Christmas too. I don't think it's gonna stop selling. So
yeah, they had a record quarter, like up like 400% or something crazy, the last 3 months. So I mean, they're still definitely doing well as a company. The whole gaming industry is
exactly. The entire gaming industry had like an uprise of sales, but Nintendo was the one who got the most, and they actually have shortages now. Like if you're gonna buy a Switch Lite, you have to go online. And it's going to cost you like $100 or $200 more than it should. But, you know, if you want one, you want one.
It's the only way to play Nintendo games.
Talking about that, Xbox also discontinued the Xbox One X and the digital only last month Xbox One.
Yeah, sad day indeed.
Yeah, that is weird, but it is also understandable. You know, they're going to bring the Xbox Series X. They're still supporting the Xbox One S, and I assume they're going to announce the Series S, you know, the Lockhart, which should be a cheaper version of the Series X. So we're all confused. How many Xboxes are there? I mean,
especially because this new one is called the X Series, and I thought they used to call the X1 the X Series. Now there's another X Series. I mean, why can't they just stick with like a normal? I mean, if anything, a parent wants to know what the best PlayStation is. I mean, there's a number, and then one's called a Pro as well. I mean, Microsoft's next Xbox will probably be called like Xbox like 2 or something, and then people will be like, "What?"
Well, I mean, they right now it is kind of confusing if you go to the store. Well, before they had the Xbox, you know, you had the Xbox One, you had the at one point you had the Xbox One, you had the Xbox One S. Then you have the Xbox One X. Now you have the Xbox One S all digital version, which only has the a hard drive in it, doesn't have a disk drive. So they were supporting 3 different SKUs, and that's kind of tough to do. So I guess they're eliminating 2 of them. So they keep the Xbox One S for the budget gamer, and then they have the Series X, and then I guess in the middle now we're gonna have the Series S, which so they're still gonna have three.
This is becoming like as difficult as like car shopping or something. I mean, this is getting a little overboard.
It is not good because remember the Wii U? I mean, the Wii U was a massive failure because grandparents and parents did not know what it was. They just thought this is the Wii, and the Wii U is like an add-on, but it costs like $350. They didn't realize. A lot of people didn't realize it was a new console.
They should have just called it the Wii 2, and they would have saved themselves a lot of trouble.
Yes, Nintendo really, that was a weird period for them. They made a comeback, so.
They had a lot of commercials with old people and like nursing homes and exercise, but yes.
Well, that was the Wii. That was the
the Fit board and all that stuff.
The Wii sold 100. See, this is what people. I know Nintendo fanboys are gonna say, "Oh, the Wii kicked butt in that generation," and I guess it did. It sold 101 million units to 87 and 84, which is not that big of a beating, but they did sold 20 million units more than anybody else. But if you think about it, I think Nintendo lost a lot of the hardcore gamers to the 360 and the PlayStation 3 during that era, because if you notice, nobody really made the transition to the Wii U. The Wii U only sold like 30 million units. So all those elderly people in the homes, and it was just kind of like a gimmick kind of thing that worked for the one time, but it wasn't, which is why they made the Switch eventually. I mean, to the Nintendo Switch.
But I mean, back then they had two lines. They had the home console, and then they also had the Game Boy. And now it seems like they just have kind of like a cross between them. I don't know if they're actually doing better or worse.
What they did was, all they did was this. They realized the Wii U was trashed. Not the system. The system was not trash. Don't get any hate. Don't hate me on this. The sales were trash. Like it only sold like 13 million units. It was just a big failure. So what they did was they left the console business without telling anybody, because to be honest, the Switch is a handheld that you can hook up to your TV, not the other way around. It's really a handheld. So what they did was they left the home console division. They made a hybrid, which is really a handheld, and everybody's just focused on making games for that, which is better because they were kind of split into the 3DS and the Wii and then the Wii U, and this is why we didn't get a lot of games. Remember, everybody, you had one game and then you had to wait a long time to get another Nintendo game. I think they just concentrated all their efforts in one platform, and I think it works for them. I think it's good. I consider it a handheld. I don't see the Switch as a home console like the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4. I think they left that, and now they're just doing they're back to the handheld division. The only thing is that you can actually dock it and you can play on your TV if you want to. But that's so it's worked for them though. They're making money now. They're making money again. I mean, they always make money. They always sell stuff. Their consoles are always cheap. So they always make.
So I guess we're just gonna have to wait till later this August when Microsoft's gonna give us more gameplay footage of Halo, and then hopefully either Sony or Microsoft, one of them breaks their game of chicken and one of them declares a price on their console.
That will be interesting though, their new reveal, because I wonder if they're kind of whipping 343 like so they get the graphics fixed up for the next showcase. The price battle is interesting. That was one of the news articles too on our site, because
and the links to all of those will be in the description of the video.
Well, that's good. You can we go in depth in them, and I think what is being forecast is that Microsoft might have to go first if they reveal their Series S, their cheap, their budget console. Because how are you gonna reveal the less powerful system that runs only 1080p if you don't show the difference in price between that and the Series X? But Microsoft wouldn't. There were rumors before that Microsoft wanted Sony to go first because they can actually match their price or go lower. That's what I heard and I read. I think the pricing battle is going to be important. But obviously, the PlayStation 5 has the advantage right now in terms of hype and just installed user base that will make the transition. But if
Yeah.
Microsoft can come under $100 cheaper than they are, and they have some really good third-party games that look amazing on the Series X, it might drive sales up. So this will be interesting. I'm surprised that they're playing that game of chicken and nobody's coming out with the price. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know if we ever seen something like this before.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people. I mean, just don't want to sound like a news report, but I mean, these are kind of uncertain times. We'll see. We'll see if how available the consoles even are this holiday season. I mean, there could be a shortage. I mean, the whole Christmas season might kind of be delayed a little bit until early next year with the other things going on. But no, I'm definitely excited for the new consoles to come out and the games that are coming.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's we don't know because now people, they went indoors and there's unemployment and there's stimulus checks, so people are investing in entertainment as we're seeing. The
Yeah,
industry went up, but how long is that going to last? And are people going to be willing to pay $500, $400 on Christmas, depending on how the situation is,
definitely.
to buy a new system? Though Sony expects to sell 10 million units. On the holidays, which is it's a high number. I don't know if they're gonna do it. I don't know if they can, but that's what they're expecting. What else was? Oh yes, we also saw that there was a popular article how the PlayStation 4, if it didn't succeed, Sony would have died. Is that what one of the articles
Oh
was?
yes.
Oh yes, that was one of the executives said that because the PlayStation 3 was such a blunder in terms of how expensive it was to make and how much money Sony lost. That they
What
pretty
people
much
didn't like the $700 Foreman grill?
it's just, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this is, I think fans are going to appreciate this because it's kind of, I guess is that considered retro now? 2006? Is that retro now or not?
It depends.
But going back in time, the 360 was what? It was $399. It was $100 cheaper than the cheapest model that PlayStation had with the PlayStation 3. And the games look better. I don't know if you remember, but Madden 2007 on the Xbox 360 ran at 60 frames per second, and the PlayStation 3 version was running at 30 frames per second. It was
Yes.
it was such a big difference, like heaven and earth. And Sony kept talking about the sale, the power of the sale, and whatnot.
It was curing cancer, and it was a supercomputer, and just a bunch of crazy stuff.
Yes, that was a weird time for Sony. They just kept talking about and the cell was a very powerful CPU, but no one could really use it. So it didn't matter because everybody could make a great game with the 360, but people had to have like I don't know, like engineering degrees in programming in order to do anything with the PlayStation 3 at the time. And Gears of War, I don't know if you remember when the PlayStation 3 came out, they had Resistance against Gears of War. And Gears of War was such a big leap in graphics at that time.
Yeah.
Sony at that time was not doing anything that will make you think, wow, I have to pay $600 for this system.
Yeah, even Killzone on the multiplayer. Was it Killzone 2 was another big game that came out?
Yeah.
That was like 20 frames a second on the PlayStation 3 for the multiplayer, and it just ruined the whole experience.
That was that whole era of the first-person shooter, and just the 360 had the better. You had Halo, the games ran better in it. It was just they caught up eventually when Naughty Dog caught up, and you had Uncharted 3 and 2 and The Last of Us at the end of the generation, and they actually sold more. But I think they lost a lot of money because they were losing a lot of money. They were losing like for the expensive model. I don't know if I can remember correctly, but I think they were losing like $400, $450 every time they sold you a PlayStation 3. That's just
crazy.
That's a big thing. So the PlayStation 4 had to succeed, and it did. It did succeed, and now Sony is again, in a good standing. But
we'll just have to see what the pricing comes out to this generation, and
remember they have the haptic feedback, with that controller. So I
don't know. I mean, I'm gonna have to try it for myself.
Yes,
if I could just find a GameStop that was open to try it at.
But it looks like they're betting on that, and the SSD, the drive, the fast hard drive. That's what they're.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I mean, supposedly it's gonna just revolutionize gaming as we know it. But
It is one of the reasons why people were disappointed with the Halo Infinite reveal,
Yeah.
because everybody assumed, and I mean, it's not the gamer's fault. This is what Microsoft and Sony have been preaching for like months now. Load times are over. Popping is over. This new
Yeah.
SSD drives, and we still had it. So I mean,
That's very true.
we gotta
It's
wait and
very
see.
true. Yep. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up. I mean, that's pretty much all the recent gaming news, and I hope next week we have a lot more to talk about as well. Hopefully, we find out some more details about the new consoles coming out, and we get to look at some more exclusives and some more cool games.
And we got some Let's Plays coming up too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Legend of Zelda CDI will be posted this
Oh,
weekend.
yes, yeah.
Yes, I don't know. It's just traumatizing to even watch myself play that game. To be honest, I felt physically, mentally, and emotionally drained after that gaming experience.
I
Um,
mean, what do you rank it as month? I mean, we had the top 10 Zelda rankings, and what do you think the CDI game should rank us? Is that
uh, a solid 9 out of 10 for torture. Uh,
well, oh,
eh, I,
I have to say, I mean, it is a tough game. I think Dark Souls is child's play compared to that. I mean,
it's just not good. Let's just leave it at that. I mean, if you ever wanted to torture someone, just give them only that to play for like a year or something, and be like, no, your murder sentence is over. You've served enough.
I mean, think about the kids who paid. Think about the parents of the kids who paid, like, what was it, $700, $800 for one of those machines.
Oh God, yeah,
Uh,
CDI, but and then also we have some other games coming up that we will be. Do you want to talk about the poll now, or on the next Let's Play, or on the new
well,
video? I don't know if you want to give anything away for what's coming up.
we can do well. We're doing a Dreamcast retro video. It's gonna be the first episode that we have ever done of sort of like a documentary kind of series that we're gonna do on retro games. And this will be the first episode. I'm not gonna tell you the game right now, so you're gonna have to wait for that. And we're gonna do a poll for our next Let's Play, where we're gonna have three choices. Um, I don't know what the choices were at the time. Star Fox 64 is gonna be one of the choices. I think Brave Fencer Musashi for the PlayStation 1. We're still kind of trying to decide what's going to be the third one. We're not sure if it's going to be Skies of Arcadia or even
Quest
Sonic
64 Part 3.
or Quest 64 Part 3, because I know you guys have loved the game so much that, I mean, on Facebook it did get to 2,000 views, so maybe you guys want more Quest. I mean,
Maybe someone just fell asleep or something with it on loop. They died and just yep.
But
All right. Well,
64 and Quest. I mean, Brave Fencer.
yeah. So we'll have a poll coming up. So make sure you vote on that. And so I guess we'll wrap it up now. Make sure you check out the website, neverendingrealm.com, and also check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/neverendingrealm, and also check us out on Twitter at Nerd Games. And if you search for Never Ending Realm, I'm sure you'll find us on YouTube as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.
All right, guys. See you later.